Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. My name is Matt Morris. I am your host. We are live on Rumble and YouTube, both of which are at Matt Morris TV, folks. It is October 9th, and ladies and gentlemen, we have one hell of a show. As you all know, the Trump administration has recently designated Antifa as a domestic terror organization, and now they are undertaking the colossal endeavor of ripping apart the entire Antifa apparatus. As we all know, somebody is paying for the protests and the gas masks and the signs and all of this equipment that they come with. And so President Trump has announced, the Trump administration has announced, they are not only arresting these far-left radical domestic terrorist freaks, Antifa, off of the streets, but also they are looking to cripple and destroy, identify and destroy the entire left-wing funding apparatus that has been paying for this network. Well, folks, today we have some breaking news. Today, we have a bombshell report, and I say bombshell, I mean it today. I always mean it, but especially today, we have a list of names. We have a list of organizations. We have a list of financiers. We are going, folks, today, we're going to do something a little bit different. Today is going to be a real investigative, deep dive, nitty gritty in the trenches, peeling back the layers. So, folks, everybody put on your high IQ thinking caps, because it's going to be one of those days. Now, folks, to really kick things off here, here's what we need to do. I want to play for you a clip of what happened yesterday as a little bit of a recap, because as we all saw yesterday afternoon, President Trump, Pam Bondi of the DOJ, they held a counter-Antifa summit during which they invited a bunch of on-the-ground investigative journalists, reporters, investigators to really shine a light on what the hell is going on here. This is what Pam Bondi had to say about that. We got a lot of good information. Take a listen to what Pam Bondi had to say yesterday, though.
We're not going to stop at just arresting the violent criminals we can see in the streets. Fighting crime is more than just getting the bad guy off the streets.
That's right.
It's breaking down the organization brick by brick, just like we did with cartels.
Yep.
We're going to take the same approach, President Trump, with Antifa. Destroy the entire organization from top to bottom.
Top to bottom.
We're going to take them apart. Thanks to your bold leadership and the designation of Antifa as a terrorist organization, which is exactly what they are, Americans will no longer tolerate their unhinged violence.
Now, as you all know, the rhetoric coming from the far left for a very long time now has been such that, well, Antifa isn't an organization, there's no coordination. They're just more of an idea. It's more of an idea. We're all just anti-fascists. There's no coordination or collusion or organization or whatever. Well then, okay, real quick question. How come all of these freaks show up at the same place at the same time, wearing the same clothes, with the same gas masks, with the same signs, with the same shields? They're all screaming and chanting the same thing. That seems a little bit organized, almost as if they were part of an organization. Makes you think, well, folks, as it would turn out, all of them actually are being paid for and financed and funded by various radically progressive groups, both domestic and international. And folks, I'm going to tell you what, as a little bit of a spoiler, we're going to break all of this down today. Stick around for the entire show. You're going to hear some familiar names like George Soros. It's a lot more than that, though. You're going to hear some names like China, the CCP. Stick around. There's more than that, though, folks. Let's get right into it. Okay, so we have a bombshell report coming out today from a group called the GAI. And it's not called gay. It's called the Government Accountability Institute. The Government Accountability Institute, the representative of which, I believe the CEO, his name is Seamus Bruner. He actually attended this summit yesterday afternoon with Donald Trump and Pam Bondi. This guy named Seamus Bruner. That's not him. We're going to talk about this bald guy here in a second. GAI's Seamus Bruner reveals left-wing funders such as Roy Singham are behind the Antifa riots. This is him, Roy Singham. And there's a lot more to it than this, folks. We're going to break this entire thing down. Seamus Bruner, the director of research at the Government Accountability, he's the director of research at the Government Accountability Institute, the GAI, revealed today, bombshell report, that left-wing funders such as billionaire Neville Roy Singham were behind the left-wing Antifa riots and the protests. Who is this guy? A little bit of an introduction. This is him here. Lovely. He's got a great head. Neville Roy Singham is an American businessman and social activist. He is the founder and former chairman of ThoughtWorks, an IT consulting company that provides custom software tools, and consulting services, which he sold to a private equity firm for $785 million. This is where it gets interesting. In 2019, Neville Singham, started a consulting business with partners who are active in the propaganda apparatus of the Chinese Communist Party. The partners are co-owners with Tongren City, a Chinese company, of a media company that promotes anti-poverty policies, according to the New York Times. Singham is a socialist and admirer of Maoism, and according to the New York Times, he has provided significant funding for media outlets, organizations, and politicians around the world that promote Chinese Communist government propaganda. According to the George Washington University program on extremism, he has also provided funding for U.S.-based pro-Palestinian protest movements. And folks, this is only scratching the tip of the iceberg. We're only really scratching the tip of the bald head here. We're going to keep on reading through this. This goes deep, everybody. Like I said, investigative deep dive today. Put on your thinking caps. During a roundtable event on Antifa with President Trump yesterday afternoon, Brunner of the GAI explained that GAI President Peter Schweitzer, and their team followed a trail of money and followed it to the top of what they called the Protest Industrial Complex, or Riot Inc. Brunner explained that the so-called Riot Inc. was made up of many different divisions, and that, quote, dozens of radical organizations have received millions of dollars from Riot Inc., as it's called. Here's a quote. "We found a network of NGOs." The NGO means non-governmental organization. International Globalist Organization. "We found a network of NGOs. It's not just the Soros Network, which is called the Open Society Network. It's other funding networks as well. The Arabella Funding Network, the Tides Funding Network, Neville Roy Singham and his network. We just talked about him. Foreign cash is flooding into the country," Brunner explained. "And it's also big left-wing funders. Some of them are not even citizens of this country." Now, folks, before we move on, there's a lot more to talk about here. I want to do a little bit of a background check. We're talking George Soros. He operates the Open Society. It's an American, this is it, the Open Society Foundations. It's multiple foundations under the umbrella of the Open Society. Formerly, the Open Society Institute is an American grant-making network founded by business magnate George Soros. Open Society Foundations financially support civil society groups around the world with the stated aim of advancing justice, democracy, education, public health. Yeah, sure. So this is George Soros, Open Society, a part of this also. We also mentioned the Arabella Advisor Network. Arabella Advisors is a Washington, D.C. based for-profit consulting company that advises left-leaning donors and nonprofits about where to give money and manages several dark money groups supportive of the Democrat Party and the progressive movement. It was founded, you guys are going to love this, it was founded by former Clinton administration appointee Eric Kessler. Small world. In 2023, the Arabella Network raised more than $1.3 billion in anonymous donations. You'll notice they keep all of the donations anonymous so that you can't track down where this dark money is coming from. It's the entire progressive dark money network. They raised in 1 year $1.3 billion in anonymous donations and sent nearly $1.5 billion to other organizations. Between 2005 and 2021, they've raised in total $6.5 billion, which flows to various radically progressive groups. So when we're talking about this entire network, it's multiple organizations, not just Open Society, not just Arabella Network, but also the Tides Foundation. This was mentioned as a part of this Antifa financier apparatus. The Tides Foundation is a left-leaning donor-advised fund based in the USA that manages over $1.4 billion in assets. Tides Network distributes money from once again, anonymous donors to other organizations which are often politically progressive. Oftentimes, yeah, more like always. And then, of course, you have Mr. Neville Singham, who is literally working for the CCP. Interesting guy. Let's keep on reading through this, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you. I'm telling you, this is a big day. This is a bombshell report. If you've been looking for justice for this stuff, today we have the information with which we need to dispense justice. Now, goes on to say, Brunner continued to note that these left-wing funders were, quote, pouring money into our political ecosystem. Brunner continued to share, quote, 3 money facts about Riot Inc., explaining that there were many divisions, such as PR divisions, marketing divisions, and even a well-funded legal division. Who here was tuning into my broadcasts a couple days ago? We were watching these Antifa riots outside of the Portland ICE facility. It would have been last Saturday. You might have noticed these Antifa members, but they sort of stood out because they had neon green helmets. Who remembers the green helmets? Well, those are Antifa legal professionals that are being deployed by these radically progressive NGOs, the ones we're talking about today, the green helmets you remember here, and they're taking photos, they're taking down people's names in order to provide legal support, legal aid, and assistance to all of these NGO-funded Antifa domestic terrorists. So we're saying, where did these green helmets come from? Who are these people? They're legal professionals? Okay, well, last time I checked, legal professionals, they're expensive. They cost a lot of money. You ever consult with an attorney? Or I have before in the past. Listen, it costs a little bit of money. Who's paying for these guys? Well, now we know it's this NGO radical progressive network. Well-funded legal division. Number 2, we have identified dozens of radical organizations, not just the decentralized Antifa organizations, but dozens of radical organizations that have received more than $100 million from the Riot Inc. investors. So if you're saying, man, how are they paying for these signs and the helmets and the legal team and the mask, the gas masks, and they all have matching outfits? There's your money, $100 million from Riot Inc. investors right there. And now we know who those investors are. Brunner added, these would be the lawyer groups. These would be the groups that advocate for calling good, honest American fascists. You notice how they always have the same rhetoric. They all have the same talking points. They all are spewing the same propagandistic anti-American filth. Well, it's because they are being told top down what to say by the leaders of this entire apparatus. These people are just, I mean, the communists, if you go back, way back like 100 years, they have a term for this. It's called useful idiots. Oftentimes these Antifa people, they are drug addicted people, people with mental illness, people that are, just sort of the dredges of society here. I hate to say it, but it's true. And they are serving as useful idiots. They are the grunts that are being told what to do. They're being paid what to do and paid what to say. They're just useful idiots. There's no other way to put that. Now, and then number 3, I think the most shocking thing is that we have found that more than $100 million in, oh my goodness, in U.S. taxpayer funding has flowed into these funding networks, including at least $4 million to these very groups themselves. Guess what, folks? We're saying, man, who's paying for all of this? Guess what? You are. Guess what? I am. We are. God, thank God President Trump is in the White House now. We can start shutting this stuff down. Thank God he has designated Antifa and their supporters as terrorists. Thank God the DOJ, the FBI, we are investigating this. This has gone on way too far. Brunner's mention of Singham, that's this individual here. We talked about him. Brunner's mention of Singham comes after an investigation by the Breitbart News Foundation reported that, quote, while the records from the United Kingdom confirm that Singham resigned from ThoughtWorks Inc., which he founded in 1993, Chinese Communist government records suggest otherwise. Curious. After founding ThoughtWorks Inc. in 1993 and building the company into a software consulting powerhouse, Singham helped orchestrate its sale in October 2017 for approximately $785 million. We saw that on the Wikipedia article. He sold it to a group of funds managed by London-based private equity firm Apax Partners. Corporate records from the United Kingdom confirm Singham's resignation from ThoughtWorks the same month, and his own LinkedIn page says he has been retired since 2017. ThoughtWorks' English language website relegates him to its alumni section, reinforcing the image of a clean break. But Chinese Communist Party government records suggest otherwise. These records list Singham as a corporate officer of ThoughtWorks' Chinese subsidiary, ThoughtWorks Beijing, as recently as June 17, 2025, for at least as far back as 2022. These records are from the National Enterprise Credit Reporting System, China's corporate registry. Other documents, including trade, now profile, and help wanted ads, listed Singham as ThoughtWorks Beijing's official contact in 2021. So he stepped out of the limelight over here in the Western world, and it seems like he has just doubled down in his involvement over here in the CCP. We already know. So this company that he allegedly sold, he actually still is seemingly working for them over there in China. And then, of course, in 2019, a different company started a consulting business with partners who are active in the propaganda apparatus of the CCP. And that is pretty much what he's doing. And now he's financing Antifa riots over here in Portland, Oregon, and various other cities in the USA. The New York Post reported in June that Singham was set to be called to testify before a congressional committee regarding him funding, quote, radical anti-Israel and Marxist groups behind the Los Angeles riots. Who remembers the Los Angeles riots a couple months ago? The No Kings riots where they were blowing up cars? Guess what? He was funding that also. Astounding. In an article written by Bruner, in June, Bruner detailed how the GAI, once again, that is the Government Accountability Institute, how the GAI had uncovered how the official partners behind the No Kings protests bagged $114 million since 2019 from Arabella Advisors' dark money network, and how professional protest organizations use tax dollars as a force multiplier. So, folks, once again, all of these riots, all of these protests, they are being coordinated, pre-planned, it's all premeditated by these various radically progressive, oftentimes foreign money, dark money networks. It is George Soros and the Open Society. It is the Arabella Network. It is the Tides Foundation, and it is Neville Roy Singham, who is literally working with the propaganda apparatus of the Chinese Communist Party. They are funding all of these riots and protests. And they are paying far-left, radically progressive freaks here in the U.S., like all of these Antifa people, to do it. They're giving them the talking points. They're paying for the signs and the gas masks and all of this. Astounding. Bruner reported, the expected worldwide mobilization of protests against President Donald Trump this weekend will hardly be a spontaneous eruption. No, on the contrary, the tumult is a carefully plotted production organized by the Indivisible Project and financed by the Progress Dark Money Network, the Progressive Dark Money Network, managed and advised by the Arabella Advisors, which has perfected the mounting of made-to-order protests. Since 2019, the Arabella Network has dumped more than $100 million into the coffers of the official No Kings protest partners, including the creator of the official protest songbook. This grassroots nationwide Day of Defiance, you remember how they marketed this, grassroots nationwide Day of Defiance, targets President Trump and his billionaire allies, according to organizers. The Arabella Network's biggest benefactors are the left's own billionaire heroes, including George Soros, Bill Gates, Hans-Jörg Wyss, Mark Zuckerberg, and Reid Hoffman, who are the beneficiaries of this whole movement. Really just astounding. Listen, folks, as we know, there is not one authentic component to modern day progressivism. Their riots and their protests are inauthentic. They are paid for. Their voters are inauthentic and paid for insofar as the only people voting for the Democrats these days, as far as I'm concerned, they're a bunch of illegal aliens, people that were let into the country by these very progressives. Their voters are fake. They're rigging elections. Their protests and riots are fake. They're paying left-wing, radically progressive freaks to get out here and march around and cause civil unrest. Their politicians are crooked as can be. You guys heard the news about big old Letitia James today. It's unbelievable. The entire left-wing side of the American political dynamic here is just unhinged. So that is the investigative deep dive. Now, folks, earlier today, if you were not tuning into this morning's broadcast, we got a massive update from both Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and also Pam Bondi chimed in on this. This is a 3-minute long video. I need to play this for you guys. This is what they had to say about this entire dynamic earlier today, just a couple hours ago.
Well, sir, thank you for your leadership and for deploying all of government to help us keep our country safe. You have talked extensively about how threatened our ICE officers are, but all of our law enforcement out there. And we saw the shooting in Dallas at that facility, so we're hardening all of our buildings and making sure that we have more security measures, snipers on the roof, people to protect our law enforcement while they're out there on the streets. But what I'm also doing, sir, is, and with your authority, is we're purchasing more buildings in Chicago to operate out of. We're going to not back off. In fact, we're doubling down, and we're going to be in more parts of Chicago in response to the people there. And then I was there a few days ago and looked at some facilities that we can deploy more law enforcement out of. Because what they're trying to do with these riots and violence is distract us and keep us from going after those murderers and rapists that are out in the streets. And then I was in Portland, went out and back on Tuesday and met with the governor, met with the mayor, met with the chief of police and the superintendent of the highway patrol. They are all lying and disingenuous and dishonest people. Because as soon as you leave the room, then they make the exact opposite response. So we're looking at new facilities to purchase. They're in Portland too, and we're going to double down. And I told them if they didn't meet our demands for safety and security on the streets and work with us, then we were going to bring in more federal law enforcement. So I want to thank Pete and the Department of War for all their help. They've been.
Now, folks, let's just put into context what she said here. Chicago and Portland have proven to be anti-American, traitorous, belligerent cities engaging in open insurrection, as far as I'm concerned. So the message from the Trump administration right now is, hey, listen, hey, Portland, hey, Chicago, you thought 50 ICE agents was bad in your city? How about 500? You thought one ICE facility was bad in your city? How about 10? She said they're going to flood the cities with ICE agents and DHS agents. Not just that, they are going to be using federal resources to open up new ICE facilities in these cities. You thought one ICE location, ICE field office on the south side of Portland was bad? How about on the west side and the north side and the east side? Not just the south side, also how about smack dab right in the middle? How about 5 ICE facilities? How about we are flooding the city? We are doubling, tripling, quadrupling, pentupling down here. That's what we like to see.
Fantastic, but while we fight litigation and work with Pam on that, we're going to send more of our resources and men and women out there to keep everybody safe. So no worries. What we see in D.C. and what we see in Memphis for benefits for people in the safety and security, we'll see that in Chicago and Portland.
And the numbers in Memphis, it's only a week, but the numbers have been amazing, I understand.
That's exactly right.
The crime numbers are way down.
Fantastic, and it shows what a partnership can be between local law enforcement and the federal government. And if we have to do it the hard way in Portland and Chicago, we will. But the people demand.
And President Trump, my lawyers are in court right now as we speak for you, arguing in Chicago and Portland to keep them safe, to bring in the Guard. The government doesn't want it there, but we do. We're going to keep their citizens safe thanks to
The people want it. I don't understand the politics of it.
Is that true? Ladies and gentlemen, President Trump says the people want the National Guard deployed. Is that true? I think so. In fact, I don't think so. I know so. Every single political poll I have seen, the overwhelming majority of Americans absolutely want to see the National Guard deployed into these cities. This is a popular issue. President Trump's approval ratings are going up. In fact, up as he is cracking down on these just absolute hellscape sanctuary cities. The people want this. We want this. Yeah, we want this.
I don't understand why Pritzker is trying to protect people that are
They're more scared of the anarchists that are on the street and the politics of it than they are of doing the right thing.
I think they're afraid.
Yeah,
I think they're threatened. They don't tell us, but I think Pritzker's threatened by people because there's no other reason that this could be possible, that they don't want to have a safe Chicago. And we can solve the problem very quickly. And we're doing that anyway, regardless of if he doesn't want it or if he does want it.
You know what? I'll tell you what. I don't think that, maybe I'm going to be a little bit too generous here. I don't think that Governor of Oregon, Tina Kotek, I don't think she's a stupid moron. I don't think that Governor J.B. Pritzker of Illinois is a stupid moron. I don't think these people are stupid. I think they hate America. I think they hate Americans. I think their entire political ideology is rotten, and I think really their driving motivation, their directive, is to destroy everything that they touch. It's not that they are incapable of solving these problems. They could if they wanted, and they know how. They have to just let the police do their job. They have given the police stand-down orders. They've told the police not to do anything to these people, to these terrorists. They're not cooperating with federal immigration agents. You've got Trump saying, hey, listen, we will solve your illegal alien problem. We will solve your domestic terror problem. Just let us do it, or at least tell your own people to do it. They're saying, nah. It's not that they're confused about it. It's not that Tina Kotek, Governor of Oregon, J.B. Pritzker, it's not that they don't know how. They want this. They have decided they want to destroy the cities. They want to destroy the states. They want to destroy the country. How do I know this? Well, what did the country look like the last time these people were in the White House? Well, we have a very recent reminder. It's called the Biden administration. They opened up the border. They said, oh, man, the border's open. They did it intentionally. They allowed over 25 million illegal aliens in the country, hundreds of thousands of criminal gang members, narco traffickers, terrorists, etc. God knows how many. Hundreds of thousands of Americans dying as a consequence of this. It's not that they did it by accident. They want this country to rot. They want the country to die. That is what they want. These people are evil. They're not stupid. They are evil. Now, speaking of stupid and evil, there's another little side story here that I wanted to talk about with you folks today. To kick it off, the city of Portland, the official city of Portland government page today, posted this on Twitter a couple hours ago. But first, I do need to say, everybody, please make sure to like and to subscribe if you guys enjoy the daily news broadcasts. This is a one-man show. The support really helps. Drop that like, drop that subscribe. It helps a lot. Thank you all for being here. Thank you very much, both on Rumble and on YouTube. Take a look at this. The city of Portland has received inquiries about increased helicopters seen and heard south of downtown and in the inner southeast Brooklyn neighborhood. The helicopters are not owned by the city of Portland. The aircraft appear to be federally operated, and the noise generated is not a development the city or our local partners can control. So, as we've all seen, there are federal DHS helicopters flying over Portland. We've seen the videos. Look up. There's a helicopter flying overhead. Yeah, because we are combating domestic terrorists that you are aiding and abetting in your city. What the hell? They said this is posted by the official Portland page. Well, ladies and gentlemen, something crazy is going on here. Let's touch base with Andy No. A famous, everybody's looking at this one now, a famous Portland City Antifa blog on the internet has announced that at 9 p.m. on October 11th, that is this upcoming Saturday, 2 days from now, Portland City Antifa plans to organize a coordinated laser attack to try to crash a federal helicopter flying over the Portland City ICE facility. I kid you not. They've got flyers for it. Antifa plan to gather at multiple locations across the city and deploy lasers in an attempt to ground all federal spy planes. This will also serve as a distraction so other militants can take more daring actions elsewhere in the city. Folks, if you want to talk about domestic terrorism, you've got a group of domestic terrorists trying to shine lasers at helicopters to play coverage. That's the distraction so that other domestic terrorists elsewhere in the city can attack the ICE facility or try to murder various federal officers. I don't know. It's a distraction so they can make some daring actions, whatever that means. Department of Homeland Security announced on September 30th the arrest of 4 criminal illegal aliens for conducting laser attacks on airborne helicopters in an attempt to blind aircraft personnel. So this is something they have been doing. They did this. We arrested a couple of these laser terrorists a couple weeks ago. This is not exactly unprecedented. Lasers have also been used to cause injury to federal officers, both during the current ICE occupation and during the BLM anti-Antifa rioting in 2020. So, folks, I kid you not, they've got flyers. Now, obviously, do not do this. I don't endorse this. We're talking about how insane these people are. It says, "You're invited, laser tag. Every night for weeks, we are forced to listen to the threatening rhythm of helicopter blades as the federal regime spies on us. The only limit power knows is our refusal to submit. This Saturday, October 11th at 9 p.m., you are invited to fight back. All you need is a laser. Leave home. They can see where the laser is coming from. Go to a park, a field, or some other public space, and once the clock strikes 9, unleash your laser beam at the copter. Mask up, coordinate with friends, and throw a laser party." This is a very serious federal crime. This is a very serious crime. A very big problem. So they're posting this on the blog. They've got this on their blog. And as we saw, as Andy No said, they're doing this to try to create a distraction so they can try to do something else. Now, luckily, the Department of Homeland Security is aware of this. They posted on X just a couple hours ago, the official DHS page, aiming a laser pointer at an aircraft is a federal crime. This is incredibly dangerous for the aircraft personnel and for the public safety. Yeah, it is. This is a big time problem. Like this is, in case anybody was on the fence, I don't know, Antifa, domestic terrorists, I'm not decided yet, I don't know. This is just clear as day, domestic terrorism. You cannot deny this. Even the most radically progressive person must acknowledge, I don't know how you could not, this is domestic terrorism. Just undeniably so. Antifa domestic terrorists will not overrun our cities. We will bust their networks and bring every one of them to justice. And this was posted on the Rose City Counterinfo, the anarchist counterinfo platform in Portland. Featured, you're invited to play laser tag. This is just absolutely insane. And so, folks, I'll tell you what, this is one of the final things I'm going to be telling you folks today is that this Saturday, today's Thursday night, Saturday night, we're going to come back. I will be here with you folks. We're going to be doing live downtown Portland, also Chicago coverage. We've done that the last 2 Saturdays. This is going to be the 3rd Saturday night in a row. Saturday is always the craziest night, as we've seen. I'm back. We are back. We are going to be shining a light, not a laser light. We're going to be shining a spotlight on the insane actions of these radically progressive freaks. So make sure to subscribe and like today's video and come back on Saturday. Of course, we'll be here Friday as well. But folks, this domestic terrorism is ramping up. They're getting more aggressive. Today we have this bombshell report. We know now who is funding this, who is financing this. Open Society, George Soros, Arabella financial apparatus, Tides Foundation, Neville Roy Singham working with the CCP. These people are being paid to do this. There's a whole and it's linked to the Clinton Foundation, as we saw some of these people. Folks, we are ripping this dark money financial apparatus apart. President Trump, day by day, is ripping this apart. We know who these people are, and we're coming for them. I want to say thank you, everybody, every single person for tuning in today. I told you this was going to be a bit of an investigative deep dive, but that is going to be a wrap for today's news segment of the show. Thank you very much, everybody. Now what we're going to do real quick, before I really wrap up with you guys, that is a wrap up for the news. What I do need to do, I want to take a look at the super chats. I said we're going to be doing a super chat segment at the end of every broadcast. Let's get to it. You guys are very generous. I want to give some credit where credit is due. So thank you, everybody. One moment. Let me pull up the super chats here. And we'll see how you guys feel about all of this. Let me see here. Yeah, here we are. All right. So I believe where we need to pick off here. Okay, here we are right at the bottom. This is Captain Dumbass is his name with $2. He says, got the first upvote and also first view on the White House vid. Oh, well, hey, thank you very much. You guys that tune in every day, I appreciate it. I appreciate it a lot. I really do. Thank you very much. You guys really are very kind and very generous. Listen, I was noticing this morning, we're a one-man show here. It's just you guys and it's me. I don't have a whole team. I was looking at some of the other broadcasts on YouTube this morning that were covering President Trump's cabinet meeting. Our numbers, we are up there with all these other mainstream organizations. Our numbers are up there with them. Okay. In fact, oftentimes we are actually out competing some of those other. So, hey, I got to give credit to you guys. Thank you folks for tuning in. It's a big deal. Thank you very much. Edward H, he says, I cheered yesterday when Donald J. Trump said he is designating them as foreign terrorist organizations. Yes, he is. I knew that unleashes an absolute shit storm of resources, both U.S.-based and abroad. Wreck-It Ralph, Antifa, domestic terror, and now foreign terror organization. That means he can really start cracking down on their foreign financiers. You're right. That is a game changer. Now, I was checking earlier today. I don't think he has signed that executive order yet, but I'm sure he will be. He's a little bit busy right now with this whole Middle East dynamic. So maybe early on next week, he will actually sign off on that executive order. And then we can really get cooking. But until then, we know who these people are. We know who these organizations are, who these NGOs are. We know who's in charge of them. We know the names. These people can be held accountable. Thank you very much, Edward. I appreciate that. Anthony Lid says, arrest Pritzker and Johnson immediately. This is Governor Johnson of Chicago. I'm sorry, Mayor Johnson of Chicago. President Trump said so. I agree. Do you agree? You think these insurrectionists, who are seditionists as well, in my opinion, should they be arrested? Yeah, I think so. Thank you, Anthony. Robert Hamlin says, thank you for being consistent in telling your viewers the truth and exposing the communist propaganda. Lame street media, keep up the good fight. You know what? I'm so happy you said this, Robert, here, because it kind of begs the question. We're talking about all of these far-left radical NGOs paying for this type of stuff. Where else might this money be going? Obviously, Antifa. What about left-wing media? You think CNN, MSNBC might be getting some of this money to spit this type of vile propaganda they're doing all day? I don't know. Wouldn't be surprised. The university system, you think possibly? Wouldn't be surprised. I think if we start turning over rocks, we're going to be finding some pretty weird things. Public school system could be the case. Perhaps even various religious organizations. I don't know. Listen, I would not put anything past these anti-American people. Do you think that they would be willing to spend money to try to corrupt a church, a local church? We know they do it with schools. We know they do it with these fake riots and protests, left-wing media, all of the, listen, we got to look at all of this. Where is this money going? Where is the money going? So thank you. I appreciate that. Good note. Danielle Whitley says, also, Dominion voting systems got bought today. I saw that. I was thinking about talking about that with you guys tomorrow once we have a little bit more information. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you very much. True. Another little thing today. Thank you. Amy says these corrupt governors are getting paid. You know, I would not be surprised. I would not be surprised. These people are corrupt as they can be. Thank you, Amy. Thank you very much. Brady says, Matt brings us the news. Wife brings food when he's hangry. Matt, we love you. That's a haiku by Brady. That's hey, beautiful haiku. What is a haiku? 575 or is it 711-7? I forget. Anyway, hey, thank you very much. I appreciate that. It's true. We got a good wife. I brought my wife on the broadcast a couple days ago. Yesterday, I think. Nice woman. She's a nice woman. She's a good woman. Thank you very much. Dogs Gaming says, make mass great again. You mean like Catholic mass? What type of mass? Yeah, we got to make it all. We got to make everything great again. We need to make everything great. And now I believe there were a couple more here, and then we're going to wrap up the show. John Mitchell says, don't F with the Pepe copter. Listen, just out of all of the bad ideas you can have, coordinating a bunch of people shining lasers, high-powered lasers at a helicopter, at a federal helicopter, that is a bad idea. That is a very stupid idea. Do not do that. Do not do that. Bobby Lynn says, do we need to mount up and stop this stuff? I'm sure more than I are extremely tired of this. I actually don't really think that we need to engage in any type of vigilante justice. Listen, we control the government. It seems like the Trump administration is taking this stuff seriously. Listen, it is the radical left. They engage in domestic terrorism. They are getting in fights in front of the ICE facility and throwing explosives. You know what we do? We win elections. Now, after we win elections, and we do, we need to properly use our power to shut this stuff down. That's what we need to see next. And it seems like we are. So, I'm remaining optimistic and faithful here. Thank you, Bobby. But I think I'm right now. I voted for President Trump because I trust Trump to take care of this stuff, and that faith remains. That's how I feel. Thank you very much. Harley says Storage Mart sucks. I'm not sure about that, but hey, I appreciate that, Harley. Thank you. Thank you very much. William T says no justice, no arrests, no republic. Listen, we are a country with laws. We got to hold these people accountable. Already we're seeing instances where these Antifa freaks are being held accountable. But listen, these are the grunts. These are the foot soldiers. We need to hold the big financiers accountable also. At a minimum, I think a lot of them aren't even inside of the country. It would be very hard to arrest them. Presumably they're living in countries that do not extradite to the U.S. So it would be very hard to arrest somebody like George Soros or even Neville Roy Singham. Hell, he might be living in China right now. It'd be very hard to arrest people like this. At a minimum, cut off the money. Cut off the money at a minimum. And then, maybe we can pray that we arrest them someday, but at a minimum, cut off that money. Now, there was one more big super chat here. The final super chat of the day from JW. Matt, tell us how you met your wife. I met my wife playing World of Warcraft. I'm a big World of Warcraft nerd at heart. Back in the day, at least, not so much these days, but I met my wife playing World of Warcraft in the virtual world of Azeroth. But that is going to be a wrap for today's show. We've been happily married for 5 years. Believe it or not, it's true. But folks, that is going to be a wrap up for today's show. I want to say thank you, everybody, for tuning in today. Thank you very much for being here. Everybody, please make sure to like and to subscribe. We will be back full steam ahead tomorrow covering everything. So thank you all very much. You know what? There was one more, Axel, one more super chat. He says, keep up the good work. Honest, if Trump can keep on this road of greatest, I would really consider that we should get Trump Memorial close to Lincoln. I'm not entirely opposed to some type of Donald Trump Memorial down there. You know what? We need a Donald Trump Arch of Victory. We need an Arc de Triomphe in Washington, D.C., the Arc de Triomphe in D.C., and that would be beautiful. It'd be bigly, it'd be beautiful, it would be totally cafefe. Thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you, Axel. Thank you, everybody, for being here. #1 community in the world, as far as I'm concerned, because of you folks. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Thank you all very much, everybody. Until tomorrow, when I see you next, God bless, stay safe, and of course, as always, thank you very much for tuning in.